Do you still like Next long term? It's not that I like it, it's that I'm following the insider trading on it. So insider trading, so understand when you hear not insider trading, sorry, insider buying. When you hear somebody buys or sells inside, so this is a very so again, I'm not trying to do a whiteboard this early, but I think it's really it's for you newer people, it's really important. By the way, I'm supposed to show chat when she draws. She was practicing. She's 4. She was practicing all of her stuff, and she also did some pictures, and so I have to show you guys her ice cream. And then she drew something and made me copy it, and that's her robot, and that's her and I have to show chat. She said, make sure you show chat. And so I show chat before I erase it, okay? Her writing's better than yours. It's true. Poop, yeah. Poop and pee-pee. She's 4. Okay, so when you hear insider buying or insider selling, this is why the internet is really messed up, because you never know who's answering a question. There's a lot of speculation as to why these things happen, and people will latch on to what they think the reason is and have no idea. Insider buying means, usually an executive, okay, buys or sells, okay? So for example, when somebody says there's insider buying happening, it could be the CEO, the CFO, the CMO, the COO, it could be a board member, right? Somebody who has intimate knowledge of the company and of their financials as well. And the reason that that's important is usually somebody who knows the finances but can't disclose it ahead of the public disclosure, because it's a publicly traded company. They oftentimes will make trades. And you'll hear somebody say, oh my God, the CEO of Palantir just sold $1 billion in stock. This means that he's expecting the stock to collapse. It's over. Oh my God. You don't know why. First off, he's got $100 billion or $50 billion, whatever, in value of stock, right? And if he wants to sell because he wants to buy something, or he wants to put it in a thing, or use it for funding of another company or whatever, they're going to sell it. Okay, they're going to sell it. It doesn't mean they're selling because they think the company's the stock's about to fall, right? Because that wouldn't even make any sense. Why would you do that? Because if you do that and the next earnings comes out and the stock falls, you can't come back and buy into it again. It's not even legal. I mean, you could get around it, but like, it's not even legal to do that. Like, you have to do these disclosures and stuff. So they're not trading the market generally, because the problem is that if they sell that now and then the company continues to go up, they're going to miss out, and they're missing out on gains of the company that they have. So for example, when he sold all those stocks when Palantir was $120, everybody was like, oh my God, this is the end. He sold that much. No, we don't know why he sold it. You have no idea. You have no idea why he sold it. Same thing with insider buying. Okay, insider buying is when you see, oh my God, these people are all buying up stock. Well, sometimes it could be a lot of different reasons, right? You can see that they buy it because, number one, if you're the CEO, your job is not just the company, but your main job is to shareholders, right? That's just what it is. I'm sorry, but if you're a publicly traded company, your CEO, your job is to keep the share price as high as possible. It has nothing to do with anything else. It has nothing to do with the morality or the ethical things of the company. It has nothing to do with your employees. It has nothing to do with culture. It has to do with shareholder value. Okay, it is a very dirty truth, and I know that today's title makes this make sense, but it is the truth. You could expand the company, make the lifestyle, make it the most favorable place in the world to work, and you'll get your ass fired. Because shareholders vote, and they're in charge of the board, and the board is in charge of you, and the board also wants to keep their job, and they want to make money. Your job is to keep the share price high and keep going higher. That's the only job of a CEO nowadays in a publicly traded company. How you go about doing that's up to you. Share buybacks, layoffs, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's cutthroat. It's only about shareholder value. I don't care if your CEO tells you that we want to do things to make a better culture and I care about my employees and shit like that. If you're publicly traded, he's full of shit. He doesn't care if you fucking walk his dog and showed up to his kid's birthday party. If they've got to make cuts and it's for shareholder value, your ass is gone. Okay, that's just what companies do. So when a CEO does a insider buy, especially if the stock has fallen significantly, they could be doing that just because they know that that's going to get reported and it's going to cause other people to come in thinking, oh, he must know something. He must know something. Something's coming down the line. I hear that all the time. Oh my God, this CEO bought, $5 million in shares. Oh my God, he must know something's coming. Sometimes it's just to get that headline, because that will drive people to come in and buy more because they see the CEO and they think what I just said. Sometimes they do buy because they know something's coming. Don't get me wrong. I go back and watch these things. I have seen, this is why what I do is the most important two people to watch when it comes to buying and selling, in my opinion, this is just the stock guy who's an idiot with a camera. If you want to track insider buying and selling, there are two people you need to pay attention to. The CFO and the CLO. These are the most important people that you need to pay attention to. Your chief financial officer knows the money, and your chief legal officer knows the law. I have bought stocks just because the CLO, or whatever equivalent they have, started buying shares. If the CFO is buying shares and nobody else is, like the whole board could be buying, and that's a very interesting thing because usually that's a good thing. I'm not talking about exercising options. Make sure you know if it's exercising options. Because if that's the case, that's just shares that are owed to them that they're basically it's not that boring. All right, so here we go. So yeah, again, what I'm saying is that this is very, very, very again, everybody has to learn their own way. Somebody could see what I see and get a completely different piece of or interpret it a very different way, right? So CFO is the most important to me for buying and selling. CLO is number 2. COO is also really important because this is your operations person. This one knows what's going on, but they generally follow. They generally basically get told by the CFO. They have a very close relationship. Whatever. Now, when you hear exercising options, that just means that they are redeeming shares that are owed to them, right? So basically, when you join the company, it says, you know, in a year, you get 100 shares of our company at $30, or in 10 years or whatever, right? Or 5 years. 5 years later, the company's worth $300 and you get to exercise it and you get to own those shares at $30 even though it's $300, right? So you can exercise them early or when it expires or when it matures, whatever. But if it's just a buy, these are most important. Now, when I see the CFO selling a bunch of shares, it could be that they know that they're about to be resigned or replaced or retired. That could happen too. But that tells me something. That tells me something. It doesn't mean it's a guarantee, but it's interesting that that person's dumping a lot of shares. If the CLO is selling or buying a bunch of shares, especially if there's any litigation or they're tied to any lawsuits, that's the motherfucker I watch. I forgot what company it was last year, but we played a stock because the fucking chief legal officer was buying 10,000 shares in blocks for like a month. And then like 3 months later, there was a case involving them that they won on a patent infringement case, and the stock went up like 45%. I mean, I sold it after 10%. That motherfucker made money. Is that shit legal or illegal? Hey, listen, I don't know. I don't make the law. But when I look at insider buying, the first thing I look at is what's the stock doing? Is it been on the way up, on the way down, on the way? That's number 1. Number 2, who's buying? Number 3, how much? That's what I pay attention to. Stock performance, who's buying, how much they're buying. I'll give you an example. Let's do it live, okay? I'm not telling you that this is how it is or how it works. I'm just telling you about how I judge it and how I look at it. So when I go to FinViz, right? Oh my God, this actually hit 85%. You guys are fucking insane. All right, so I'll go here to recent insider buying. And I go over to, I just go over to snapshot here. And so what I'll do is you can look based on a lot of different things, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. But let's say I'm looking at the weekly, right? Here's how I do it. I see refi, right? So this is a real estate investment trust, right? So it's a REIT here, Chicago, Atlantic. I mean, hey, you got some shit going on in Chicago right now, right? You got potentially the military moving in. So we're looking at the performance here over the past year. We're looking at a drop of about 30% here. Look at their numbers here. PE ratio is really good, 6.9. 4 PE is really low. Okay, EPS this year is down. EPS next year is kind of flat. EPS quarter over quarter is down, so it's not looking too good. 15% dividend though. Insider owned is only 15%, so this is a very heavily retail investor and non-institutional investment thing, right? For insiders. Institutions take up 30%. All right, so who cares about all that, right? We've got an executive chairman who bought, and that's it. Nothing. 7,500 shares out of 408,000. Nothing. Nobody else has bought since April 9th. Doesn't make me interested, right? Oh, here we go. IMRX. Here's one that's gone from about $1.50, almost 1,000%. You have the chief legal officer and secretary bought 1,000 shares. Basically bought increased their holdings by 25%. The chief people officer bought 800 shares, and the accounting officer bought shares. So this thing ran to $11. It's just pulled back to $6.68. And you've got the 3 most important people when it comes to inside knowledge of this company buying shares. The director bought some shares in September on the way down at 7. And he's buying pretty big blocks. Now, this isn't enough to tell me about anything, but this company went all the way to $11, did an offering. Their numbers suck, but that's obviously looking in the back. Insider owned is 30%. Institutional is only 6%. 6% short float's not bad. So something like this piques my interest. I don't know what's going to happen because this could fall and they could buy more. But here's how I look at this, all right? You've got IMRX, which has gone on an absolute fucking tear, right? Absolute fucking tear. Hits all the way almost 1,000%. They do an offering, shit collapses by almost 50%. Yesterday, these three motherfuckers, and these three people are very, very close to each other in a lot of ways. The person in charge of their legal, their fucking head of HR who hasn't been to a Coldplay concert, and the person who's in charge of their accounting. If the lawyer and the accountant are buying, that piques my interest. Now, it looks like they're buying they're legging in, right? Because the accounting officer bought 300 shares, which is only what 1% of their holding of their total. 800 shares here, which is like 3%. The legal officer's going a little bit ham here, but they're like, all right, fuck it, I got to get in on this. So it looks like they're legging in. This coming a day after the director bought 7,500 shares, and a day after he bought, he's averaging down. He should probably be on here now. I don't know who the accounting officer is, but they got the best price right here. So I don't know, right? Normally you would see a stock that's up 1,000%. Well, now 600%, 1,000%, does an offering, has pretty shitty numbers and stuff like that. But you see that and you're like, that is interesting to me. That's interesting to me. This piques my interest. Because there's always insider buying happening and it's everywhere and there's big numbers and there's big companies and that. But I'm the type of person, I like to look for fucking anomalies, right? Or things that are interesting, and that's how I kind of do it.